Just a clearer one. Hey, hey, how are you? How's your body?
I'm gonna bring it down. She one day, but I.
Okay.
There's still have to give what.
Thank you very much.
We're gonna try to close on this. Yeah, you guys will be talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Is there?
Make it abundantly clear.
Please.
There must be 36 people, voting people in this room to get this done.
There have to be 36 people in the room for there to be a quorum
Yes, ma'am.
inside the room.
Yes, ma'am. In the room.
I thought that was changed. That was not changed.
I think so, right?
I don't know. We couldn't do it online.
I know, that used to be in the,
Yeah.
right. I didn't know, I thought they did, maybe not.
I don't know.
I think, as a matter of fact, I
They
think
did.
Michael did say that they did not change it.
That's what I thought.
They did.
No, they did not.
Yeah, they did.
So we would have to have our.
Right, and we're not an official, so
So I think you're right. Yeah.
there has to be
That's my
36
understanding.
members. Yeah,
I'll clarify too,
Yeah, because I think,
because,
that-
yeah,
that's what I think. I remember
You're
that's
right.
what Michael said.
I think he did say that.
Like,
I remember you guys voting, was the last time you voted, weren't there people online?
those weren't official.
Oh.
They were not official votes. The
That's what it
vote,
was.
once we're completed,
Those were
It's
just,
official.
then we
those
have.
were just recommendations for us to be able to move forward.
Right. Yes.
Yes.
I think we have one more after this, but
August 10th. That should be,
that one we have to have.
That's the voting.
that's the voting one. Yes.
Okay. But even this is not. a voting one yet.
Huh.
You might check on it.
It's hard to keep track. I'm like, it's
Huh?
hard to keep like, just keep this show up.
Can you believe it? You know, like, years I have, oh,
Well, it's almost starting for me. I think they just.
Yeah, it depends on which year you're talking
Yeah.
about. Is it
Right,
the school
right.
year or?
And it is,
I'm
yeah.
talking about 2023. January through December.
Santa coming in 6 weeks. No, in 5 months, Santa be here, man. You been good? You have been good.
What?
You said Santa's coming in 5 months. You gonna be ready?
You know.
Santa, no.
I got no kids. I don't know.
Santa's still coming?
Oh, kids. There's no chilling in my house.
Yeah. Oh, Santa, oh, bye.
My dog, you know, my 5 dogs, they don't care. They really don't. Just another day.
Oh, don't come in.
She'll be all right. She felt better too.
Yeah.
She just had a little belly. She's all right. She's an office dog.
Everyone ready?
She's the best.
Yes.
She is best.
Really,
She's very
sweet.
sweet.
No, it is.
Extremely sweet, affectionate.
Yeah.
We get a little extra air conditioning in here by any chance?
For the voting member.
It does feel a little muggy.
Yeah. It's not controlled down, is it?
Right.
We'll figure it
Never
out.
know.
I'll try. Hi, good evening, everyone.
Never know.
Is everyone ready to begin?
Yes.
Okay. So if you're not already logged in, the password to log into the laptops in front of you, the password is elect123. That's a capital E, LECT 123. I think everyone's pretty much logged in, right? Did everyone sign in using the QR code on page 2? Okay, and for those of you online, I have posted a link in the chat for you to sign in as well. And you would want to navigate to DallasCountyVotes.org. On the homepage, you will see the committee meetings icon. Click on that icon and then you will see the links for today's or for tonight's meeting under July 27th, 2023.
Jayla,
Mhm.
question.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have a place for you or anyone right now to see who is signed in?
Yeah,
Can you tell if I signed in correctly?
yeah, I'll check for you. Just one moment.
Thank you.
That's what, yeah, I like that.
Okay, I'll check on that really quick, and
thank you,
then,
David.
in the meantime, I'm going to pass it to who's starting, Danielle? Danielle to kick things off. Do we need a refresher on the layers on the map? I'm
You
sorry.
know what? I think I will, just because
You check
we got
things?
Kevin back over,
Is Kevin here?
he's not here.
What? Vacation and then he stands us up?
Yeah.
Wow. I'll be calling him.
You want this one? This one?
Sorry, okay. Hi guys, so as I was saying, Kevin, our GIS analyst was on, right before our last meeting, so we built y'all another app. We have since gone back to the first app. If you go to our website, the other one is still available. But it's only gonna be under that one day. We are going to use this app moving forward. So we kind of,
Where's the link to the map you're using today?
it's under today's date, so July 27th, and then it's the GIS map application. for
I'm sorry, it says, okay, July.
Yes. Oh, wait, go back. What was it?
So very quickly, just demonstrate how this works to, turn on. So you will have to take these in pieces, work either on early voting or election day, otherwise your map will get super cluttered. But so I am going to, for instance, I want to work on early voting first, so I'm going to turn on the EV buffers. That clutters my page tremendously, but then I go down to the filter option, that last tab on the left. And then I really want to hone in on what are the historically standard EV sites. So I'm going to click that. And then I run down to this buffer 2.5. You see the same historically standard EV site status. I click that, and then my map clears up and it shows me only specifically what I wanted, which was historically standard EV sites with the buffer around the EV site. If I don't want to see the buffer, I just go back to the layers and hide the buffer. So we'll be using this more during the meeting and it'll become clear how to use it.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Danielle Wilson. I am over the vote center for the elections. So just to begin, in discussion for the early voting locations, what I will be discussing are it's very few locations, but these locations that I'll be discussing are what we previously discussed in the last VCAC meeting. And the intention was to either provide additional coverage in that area or to ensure that we had a vote center for every city. So it's one or the other. Also, when I come across a certain location, if it's within your area and you're online, please feel free to reach, speak up. So the first location is the Addison Conference Center. We propose that we use the Addison Conference Center as a standard early voting location. It was confirmed that we could use the location, but not necessarily consider it a standard. So I'm not sure if Addison is available.
What about Addison, what is it, Addison Conference Center?
Yes,
Yeah,
That's the one where, yeah, that's the.
Lowe's Field House, that's the other one I'm thinking of, LOOS, Field House.
in place with Addison Conference Center or?
No, if we can't get,
If we can't use it as a standard.
yeah, if there's issues with, that being a standard, we can hopefully look at Lowe's Field House.
Okay.
Lowe's, I don't know what it is. Is it Lowe's?
Lowe's.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, do we have any additional comments? Thank you for that suggestion, Bonnie.
So what's the status? What are we waiting on?
We're waiting on her to confirm whether we can utilize the standard. Location is available, so to consider the standard. I did not.
From the jurisdiction,
Yes,
from the facility?
yeah, the city secretary.
Because, just so they know, it's all or nothing. It's, you know, I mean, that's the idea behind us standard polling places. If we want to have public have an idea of this is always a location. I mean, we have too much movement now. It's standardized.
Alright, moving along, Dallas County Government Center in Grand Prairie. Now, Brooks did give us permission and we all agreed that it would be, ideal location in addition to Carlsbad. However, we struggled finding, so this is just pretty much for your information. We struggled finding a good area for the voters to vote. It's very limited space.
And where is that? Grand Prairie?
Yeah, and I believe it's less than a mile away from Pennsylvania.
So that's the, you see those two blue dots kind of closer together? The
Uh-huh.
one my mouse is on, that is gonna be the Dallas County Government Center. And initially, we were thinking it was a lock, we had it, but then, upon surveying, we found that the room is not ideal.
It's not so.
So,
Okay.
yeah, this status is gonna change. Right now, it's showing as a proposed, we are no longer proposing it.
Okay.
Hi,
And
this is Mona Lisa with City of Grand Prairie. Can you give me some details on what you found at the Government Vote Center? Or, I'm sorry, the Government Center?
Yeah, so I didn't personally survey, one of our county workers from the communication survey. She explained that the court centers will always be in use. And the only area that would be available would be the lobby. So considering that there will be a lot of traffic throughout from the courtroom and the voters, there isn't much space for privacy. Also, the hallways are pretty narrow. So it would kind of be conducted.
We have the dimensions on the room, on the lobby.
No, she said she just took a picture. Oh,
Yeah.
Might I ask, did they happen to look at, because I know this was mentioned last time that there was an area on the second floor of the building. This was a couple of years back, where they mentioned there was an area on the second floor that may be of use. I wasn't sure if that was surveyed.
is the second floor where the courtrooms are?
I'm not really sure which area they had determined. I just know they said second floor.
Okay, because when she went, whoever was there wasn't really able to give her any direction. So they kind of just browsed the whole building. And I want to say that if that was, I don't want to get you confused with South Dallas, but if you're on the second floor near a courtroom, then the crowd would consist of people waiting for court along with people voting. I don't know if we can divide that area, but that would be pretty tight.
Mona Lisa, are you familiar with that building? And if you are, what's the lobby like?
It's pretty busy most days. So I don't know what the second floor is like. I think I've only been on the second floor once. But it's not far from our Charlie Taylor Recreation Center, it's across the tracks from the government center. So I know right now we're just talking about standardized vote centers. But Charlie Taylor's pretty much used most elections. But I think this particular location was kind of being looked at from the Dallas County side. And whatever you all think is best is fine with me. I just was wondering, if they had surveyed that second floor.
We can follow up with the surveyor and I can come back with information our next meeting.
Would Charlie Taylor be an option for us to use as a standardized early vote center?
Then can you guys say that as a?
We-
We can see it.
We can propose that.
Okay. That would be great, I think.
Now,
'cause it's-
and so let me ask, so for the standardized vote centers, are we looking at standardized for early voting and for election day?
Yes.
You want one credit?
Please let me change that to Google. And then change.
Well, so Mona Lisa, you think that would be a good idea? You like that idea?
Yeah, we don't
I'm
have-
sorry, I didn't hear it.
We don't have.
Do you like that idea of using that location all the time?
The government center, the
No,
government center actually covers more of an area. Because it's kind of central to, it's just south of the Tom Landry Highway. But you see south of that government center, there are a number of folks who typically would either go to Crosswinds or they go to Charlie Taylor. And I'm not sure if Charlie Taylor, if you've considered looking at Charlie Taylor as a standard vote center, but would that be for early voting and for election day? I'm sorry, I didn't hear an answer.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, for both. So I can propose it for Charlie Taylor Rec Center. I think currently it's used for, I want to say election day only. But I can propose it as election day and early voting, and we're looking at standardized for both the high turnout and low turnout models, or what do you suggest?
Yes. Yes, it would be a standardized early vote location. So it would be one that would be low and high.
Yeah, and just to refresh
Okay.
refresh everyone's memories. What we're looking for when we say a standardized early voting location is, what we found with our early voting locations is we've got too much drop in ads, between elections. And what we want to have is more stability. And that stability would be, it also include that for every election, we'd have the same number of early voting locations. We would not be flexing up and down like we do with election day. That's what the previous direction that you guys had kind of suggested. Now, if you want to revisit that, that's fine too, but that's kind of the path we've been heading.
Yeah, so if you want to get back with me on the government center, if it doesn't work out for that second floor, I can on my end check with the Charlie Taylor Rec Center. I know they have programming that they schedule a year out. So we would just need to coordinate schedules and make sure that there is space available. So yeah, if you'll just let me know, I'll check on that.
Thank you.
So I want to ask my team, do we have, sending someone out to a location saying, oh, well, they don't think it'd be good, is not the direction that we're supposed to be going in. We're supposed to be using objective criteria. Do we have measurements? Do we have pictures? Can we take a look at that lobby?
Metrics. Yeah, every time. We have metrics. That's it.
I think she's trying to pull those pictures up now.
People just say we don't like it. What does that mean? We don't like it?
David.
We did that just to confuse y'all.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
What was down you? Let's see over there.
Her name is Penelope.
I'm sorry, you're Penelope.
Well, why don't we move on and we'll come back to that when she finds it that we can share.
She's gonna be-
So Marley, can you?
of the DeSoto Community Center that we could look at if they're not willing to be a standardized site?
Right, we did look around DeSoto and we weren't able to confirm a location for us.
But it'll be the same problem because the city doesn't want to pay for the location, so I
Yeah.
don't think it's the location, it's just.
I mean, it's their residents that are gonna hurt. So,
Yeah.
you know, we can't override them.
And Alicia is online if you guys want to.
Can't override them, but we can definitely make a comment. And make sure that the commissioners understand. Oh, this is Elaine Campbell. See it. We cannot override them, but we can definitely make a comment from the committee and make that part of our recommendation. Just not that, that we see a gap here, but the city doesn't want, we can just put that.
Yeah, we see a need, but the city doesn't
Yeah.
do that.
Was this an identified gap?
No.
Can you turn on your consent, your circle?
So no, this was not a gap. It would have just, it would have,
It was from my understanding, it was suggested to cover the lower, the southern part of DeSoto. Not necessarily a gap.
because they're distinct.
Can you? Hello, this is Alicia from DeSoto. I don't know if I was muted or something happened. I couldn't hear all of the conversation around that. But what was the concern and what were the comments so that I can take that back to the mayor and city manager? What were those? Because I don't remember it being identified as a gap, as a need. So I just want to know so I can share that with them.
Of course, so it was discussed last meeting. The VCAC committee suggested that we look into considering this location because it would cover the.
This location being which location? This is Sylvia Martinez.
Thank you, Sylvia. Cutting out.
It would cover the DeSoto House of Peace and Community Center. That's the one we're talking about right now.
I understand. So the Beltline Conference Center is literally in close proximity to that. So that's why I was trying to understand what the concern was in that area. Because my city manager and my mayor are trying to understand what the concern is as well. Are we trading off? Are you guys wanting to suggest utilizing the mosque and closing the Beltline Conference Center?
Yeah, well. He did not have. The Beltline Conference Center, isn't being, it wasn't proposed as an early voting, location, so we don't have it, on the map. Danielle, do you have any emails about our ability to use it?
Beltline Conference Center, there's no issue. This is Sylvia Martinez with DeSoto ISD, and it was used for whatever the May election was that we had. I don't remember about early, but Beltline Conference Center and use of it is typically not an issue.
Can we see where that's at on the map?
So that would be the empty gray circle right above my mouse. And over here to the west, we have the DeSoto House of Peace, and to the north, the Historical Vote Center for DeSoto Disciple Central Community Church.
I don't recall the conversation, but there doesn't appear to be a gap there. Do we feel as though there's a need for a second location within DeSoto?
Yeah.
So if we're using distance as an issue, it's not an issue. Now, if CCC's overwhelmed and we feel like we need to relieve it, that's a different story. I guess my question is, why are we talking about this?
That's my question as well.
It was mentioned that they serve two different communities.
Can you tell me where that came from? Are you able to share that with me so that, because in my conversation with Mayor Proctor and the city manager, we're trying to understand where it even came from so that we can actually have some comments towards whoever brought it to the table.
There was a comment made by a member, weeks ago here in this meeting.
Okay, I'm sorry, I missed that meeting.
Yes, ma'am. So it sounds like we feel DeSoto is fine with the Cycle Central Community Church. Am I reading that correctly?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So we will, though it shows the DeSoto House of Peace and Community Center as a proposed standard EV site right now, we will make note to flip that status, to, you know,
Thank you.
For them too.
All right. Moving
Well,
forward.
I think what Kyle just said and Melissa just said, and posed to the question, to the room. You guys agree with what I suggested and what Alicia suggested? Are you guys okay with that? We want to make, we don't want to railroad something through. Do you guys feel as though, are you okay with dropping this essential addition of second location in DeSoto?
Yes.
I think we can move on.
Thank you.
Glen Heights Family Center has confirmed that they will be listed as a stand, be utilized as an early voting standard location.
Excellent. Excellent.
Hutchin City Hall is available for early voting, however, the city secretary is out of town, so she's not able to confirm. They're not able to confirm.
So they're available for this November, no doubt, but we have not had complete confirmation that they're willing to be a standard next 2 years.
The Life Safety Park is considering utilizing their location as an early voting standard. However, there were some concerns and questions that they had. Is Compel available? Ashley? Okay, so Life Safety Park being considered as a standard will be pending. I'll have to follow up with Ashley.
So which, can you point
That-
which,
Life safety is the one above my mouse.
and what's the, that facilities hasn't been willing to commit? Yeah, talk loud.
Okay, the city secretary has some concerns about financial responsibility. So they would consider, depending on who would be held liable.
The city election. So keep in mind, all early voting locations for a city election, a May election, a joint election, the cost of all standard locations is shared amongst, using a certain formula amongst all the cities. So if Capel adds a second one, it's not on Capel. It's split amongst everyone. Having said that, if somebody wants something outside of the standard of, so Capel's got two, now they say, oh, I want a third one. And then outside of the standard, then they would be responsible for the 100% of those costs. So that's, so I don't, her costs would be minimal. I mean, it'd be one, you know, it'd be a share of the costs. So, and we can provide that information, that those dollar amounts, very simple. It's a simple calculation in, you know, a predefined format. So I'm not sure what the issue is. As far as, or do they realize that? Have we had those conversations with her?
Yeah, we're excited. I did explain, that they would not be totally responsible, for the cost. It depends upon the election. I did keep it pretty neutral. I didn't want to make any promises. But I'll follow up.
Hi, this is Mona Lisa
President
with Grand
Wilson.
Prairie. I have a quick question about the standard vote centers. Just one quick question. What happens with a runoff election? Will the same number of standard vote centers be open for runoff as well?
When we have a runoff, we usually have only those, well, number one, we let the jurisdictions who are in the runoff decide. And, because they're paying the freight, right? So it's their decision and they can, especially for early voting, we have the flexibility to open as much or as little as we can. There's no legal restrictions on early voting. But I tell you, but we have to be careful about that. So we just, this last election, in May, we had a runoff in June, and we had East Dallas area, and we had the school district that did everything the right way. They said, anything open, open any early voting locations within our district. And open all the polling places within our district for election day. And we thought we were okay, but then some residents said, well, yeah, but people in East Dallas would rather vote at this other location outside of the district. And so that would, that would have been an addition. And the jurisdiction might have said yes, had we, flagged that. But, so then some people were upset that they said we didn't have enough locations open. So it's always kind of an art as much as a science. And so, if that answers your question.
Yes, so I see that there would still be a little flexibility if needed.
Yes.
Thank you.
So if I'm trying to get everyone's, including my staff's attention on this. We've got to come to a conclusion on this. So we can't just keep punting things down the road. So I think what I want to hear from this body is if they say yes, is it a yes? If they, for that last location we just looked at, if we can work out those financials with them, they say yes, are you guys good with that? And I'm assuming yes, because you suggested it to begin with.
That's a fast growing area, very fast growing area. They're building houses all around there. So we may not need it right at this second, but by the middle of 2024, we probably will.
And if they say no, what would you like us to do? Shop for more locations or just let it go?
If they say no, let it be no.
Pardon me?
If they say no, let it be no.
But, well, wait a minute though. I'm sorry, I wasn't here for the last couple of meetings, but, right now is the status that we're asking because we saw a gap. Thank you. I'm sorry, this is Elaine from the CN. Right now is the status that we are asking because we saw a gap.
Yes.
Well, I kind of would like it, and I do not know this area, but I understand what you're saying, Michael, that we need to have something rather than ask Danielle to keep going back and forth. That can't be the solution. So if it's no, can we ask, do you have a suggestion for another location? We suggested that, let them know. We suggested that because there's a voting gap. We don't want to disenfranchise. I don't think anyone wants to disenfranchise. So is there a way we can do that?
Communicate it.
Yeah, that has been, okay. But I don't feel like we can just let it go. I know we can't force them, but can we at least like make a comment to the commissioners? Maybe they can have a conversation with them, something, I don't know.
What is the distance on our circle?
For early voting, we're looking at 2.5 miles.
If you turn on the voter heat layer on that, David Pate, Richardson ISD, in this particular case, while that additional polling, early voting location would be nice. It appears that the other two, there's, the area seems to be adequately covered right now. If the jurisdiction or the owner of that building does not necessarily want to let it be used as a standard early voting location, it looks like we could possibly do without it. I understand that it is a growing area. We may need to revisit that in the future, but, you know, we are running out of days to make decisions on this.
And I would, glad you asked about the heat layer, because that's very helpful to turn that back on. And looking at that, it doesn't look like a huge problem area. But I can see the point about it being a growth area too.
Where we, sorry, I couldn't get my,
Well, there you go.
this is Elaine again with the CN. Where are we noting these conversations? Is there a place that those is being noted? So that,
Documentation wise.
yeah, so that when we go back, we can remember.
So it's only a recording. This body doesn't have a designated note taker, so it's only a recording that is posted online.
Okay.
But if you're just talking about like the emails that come through and the status changes, we have like a master workbook that we flipped the status for, and we add notes as to why the status changed.
Oh, okay, so we would add a note saying, we suggested this, but that this person said no because of finances. We would add that note.
And that's all internal.
Yeah, we can, yeah, we'll absolutely add that note to we're talking about the life safety park.
As an example, I'm just using that as an example, because we have a lot of scenarios like that. Where we're asking for specific stuff. And I would just hate for us to go back 3 weeks and we don't remember what we asked for, you know what I mean?
Yes, ma'am. No, that's a great point. Adding a note to that location right now. So to Mr. Pate's point, this, when we looked at the satellite image, this does look like it's a little bit on the outskirts of residential area, and it comes into like a more commercial area. If they come back and tell us, yeah, we thought about it and we don't want to be a standard, are y'all okay leaving this particular one? Or would y'all like us to keep pounding the pavement in Capel?
I think the one will be sufficient for the time being.
I second that.
Yes. Absolutely.
So in the same manner, back down here where we were talking about Disciple and DeSoto House of Peace versus the Beltline Conference Center. If we come back and the city can't sustain 2 early voting locations in their district, how do we feel about that?
I think we've already made that decision.
Yeah, we're looking.
Move on. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. All right, then, I think I just wanted to show what we did have as a historical. Historically, our county has looked like this for early voting. I'm gonna turn off the heat layer just so we have a clearer vision. So these are our gaps. And then if we're talking about removing, if we were understanding that there may be a couple of changes with the life safety park and the DeSoto House of Peace, this is what our proposed model would look like for standard early voting locations. Have y'all been able to?
I don't understand what I just saw. Maybe, I don't know what the difference is. Is it better coverage? Is that what you're saying? Or?
Yes, there is better coverage, and we have also gotten rid of the locations that were unavailable. So for instance, I'm gonna turn on my buffer and go back to the historically standard. If you look at this, we have 3 locations that are historically standard locations but are unavailable to us. We are now saying that's not one of our standards. And we replaced it with something else. So I think in this model, we had 47 standard locations. And the proposed model that we have right now, what is that number? I think it's above 50.
Question.
Yes.
This is Miss Wood. On the right of Duncanville, there's two locations that seems to be very close to each other. The Friendship West Baptist Church and the South Dallas Government Center, were they both historically early voting sites?
So they are,
Why they are so close?
yeah, they are not. So South Dallas Government Center is a similar story to the Grand Prairie Government Center. In that we wanted to use it. We were considering we're going to discuss cost a little bit later, and we were wanting to maybe transition over to the South Dallas Government Center since it is a public building. But we've since had some difficulty with the county nailing it down for every election. They're saying that they can't section off that room just for elections. It has to be available to every department.
I'm not buying that. I don't,
Right.
that's not accurate information. We've talked to the wrong level person at that. The county's gonna let us use that building. It's not county. We had some low-level employee told it, wasn't sure. So in our discussions, we've said that's not the case. I'm confident Commissioners Court would let us use that building. Commissioners Court knows the importance of elections, so it's not gonna be.
So if the South Dallas Government Center, allocated a room for us for the elections, will we still use the church? Is they're so close, or how is it gonna work? Will the city pay for both?
Our intention wouldn't be to use both of them. We would ask, we're asking y'all if that looks like a good option to move from the Friendship West Baptist Church to the South Dallas Government Center because it is a public building.
I mean, it looks logical since the city would not pay if they use the government center, right? Is that accurate?
But I do have to ask a question though, because in the inspection on South Dallas Government Center, what does it look like as far as, is it a good location?
Does Friendship West not want us there?
No, they do want.
No, this was just an idea that we had because we were evaluating costs, and the Friendship West Baptist Church costs $14,000 for early voting. So we just wanted to give y'all an option.
A huge population, I'm sure they would not be happy about.
Not only did he publish, they're very active.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You leave it
Very
alone.
active.
I mean,
And Commissioner Price will not have it.
yeah, no, and he's right. That's, leave it alone. I mean, that's one that I'm sure is utilizing the resource. Especially now.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Carol Darbar with the League of Women Voters. And when we met last time, there was a comment made that all the districts, the cities and school districts and whatnot had been told that there would be an early voting site in each of their districts. And we had one, and I want to say it was down around Wilmer Hutchins area where there was not one to be located yet. I wondered if that had been remedied.
So we do, well, yes, Wilmer confirmed, so we do have the Wilmer
So
Community
can I-
Center.
It's a good question. We'll get to that, but let's don't leave the current one that we're on now. I don't want to bounce. I want to get trying to get some things settled. So the issue on the table right now is that those two locations, we're currently spending $14,000 in rent for a location of half a block away. We've got a free location, government center. And the question is whether or not this body would like us to either go directly to the government center or at least use that fact to go into negotiations with that Friendship West, because I can tell you, they're probably the most expensive location we have in the whole county.
I say go free.
Yeah, I mean, the same thing that
I've never
happened.
been in front of Commissioner Price with a question like that.
I think it's gonna depend on timing. Are we talking right now about this November?
No,
Do you need a motion?
This November?
Do you need a motion, sir?
no.
So
I think we're asking questions.
Yeah, I think we're having a discussion right now.
Okay, well, I go for free.
Community got it, that going there.
Because we definitely have to- We definitely will have to have time to communicate. But there's a large community.
Oh, my God.
That has been voting there for years. So.
it's understandable, but if they are a mile away and the city is paying for the cost for the church, then it makes sense to put it to the government center. But
Yes.
do we know if it's surveyed and what was the survey score?
Yeah,
for
that was gonna be my question. Is it a comparable, is it at least an equal trade? I understand the hardship on the community, but is it at least an equal trade in space and parking and all of those things?
We were fighting last time.
Thank you. Yes, just how comparable is it? Was my
What's
question.
our survey results on that?
I would think that if it was a government building, that they had to comply with all the ADA requirements and the parking requirements as well. So I don't think that would be a valid question because we would have to comply. I work for a state government, the town of Addison, and anytime we build anything, it has to comply with all the rules and regulations, not of just our town, but
Right, but it also depends on when the facility was built and if they did any changes to it.
That was the intention for the.
We've asked for a score. Maybe we should
Yeah.
score.
That's right.
We can
The
discuss.
score would be the best thing to hear.
We have pictures available.
Okay. Has it been surveyed and is it scored?
It is not.
Okay.
Okay.
That's giving us an issue. We can't make a decision on moving 30,000 people from one vote center to another if we don't know it's
I agree,
sufficient.
Bonnie. That's a great point. We will get it surveyed. We will bring it back to the next meeting.
okay.
We will also start to have discussions with community leaders, other than you guys are community leaders, but other folks too, to make sure that we're not, upsetting the apple cart. I think it's also incumbent on, well, I guess maybe one of the things I'm looking at is from this body to get some guidance. Because early voting locations right now, they just name their price. They just send us a bill. And we have, at this point, we have no choice but to pay it. And so if I got some guidelines to say, geez, you're paying this place $500, paying this place $14,000, that doesn't feel right. And maybe you should, give me a little more community backing to negotiate harder, that sort of thing.
Yes, and as a David Payne again, Richardson ISD, and as an organization that has to pay election costs, I certainly, we want all, especially with vote centers and the way early voting works, and you can vote anywhere in the county. We want, an appropriate number of vote centers open, and we also want a reasonable cost for them. And so I would, if there is a way to not just have to pay whatever bill shows up, but give the elections department some ability to negotiate. And if this is a negotiating point that, yes, we can move down the road, I think that is absolutely a reasonable place to start to try to work to help us as local governments contain some of this cost and manage it reasonably.
Bonnie Mathias, Dallas County Democrats. Look at that neighborhood when you go over there. Look at where Friendship West fits and the housing development around it. All of those houses voted Friendship West. To get to the government center, you got to cross Polk to get over there and get on the service road. That's the way you get to the government center. Some of these people are riding the bus. Does the bus go over there to the government center? It goes Friendship West. So these are some really serious things that we have got to look at. Because Friendship West has been a vote center for, God, I don't even know how long as the building has been there.
I think those are great points, Bonnie, and I couldn't agree more. So we will take a hard look at that because we don't want to hurt the community, right?
No.
So we will do some better homework and be ready for this discussion in 2 weeks.
So. Back to your discussion about costs. So you're saying that formula would come from this body?
I think,
That seems weird.
I don't know about, well, there is no formula.
I know, you're saying right now there's no formula. Because then, and that's definitely a gap, and that would come from us. I mean, I agree that that's a gap, and I'm not understanding how we.
I
get
guess,
the ones
I
that-
guess what I'm looking for is, do you have any suggestions on how we can contain the cost for these jurisdictions? Because that's, you know, I'm always working with them to try to say, I'm doing everything I can to contain your costs. And I'm
Yeah.
throwing that out as a problem right now because I have no way of containing it.
Hi, this is Mona Lisa in Grand Prairie. Would you consider, instead of having the one Friendship West Baptist Church standard location, would you consider having two that aren't as costly in that same area?
I'm not sure I understand the question. Can you maybe rephrase?
These people live in Southern.
So I'm sorry, what I meant to ask was, instead of having the one standard look, because we're looking at standardizing these locations, correct? So instead of having Friendship West Baptist Church or the government center as standard locations, what if you have the government center not use Friendship West, but maybe something that's in the same area? So having two instead of one that's charging $14,000, having two that are less costly in that area.
I think, can you pull up the map again? Aren't these like almost on top of each other?
Yeah, they're like half-mile away.
Yeah.
I don't think, Mona Lisa, I don't think this is Nusaiba. I don't think necessarily we need to. We just need to maybe the committee make a choice after a score survey to use the government center, or maybe to find another parameters
We can't use one variable. We're using one variable money. We can't use, that can't be the only variable.
Of course, we're not using that, but if the survey scores for the government center came great and it's half a mile, and that I would think.
And we have enough time to communicate.
Yeah.
Eli Campbell, yes. And we have enough time to communicate to people. Right now, I think we have what, 4 months, 3 months, 3.5 months. Because then, as Bonnie was saying, as Bonnie was saying, there's like all these programs to make sure people are voting, using, I mean, it's like a big deal. Big deal. So I just want to make sure. Yeah.
And I'll just say this, just cost is a factor. It is not the factor. I mean, there's lots of factors that go to these decisions. It just so happens in this case, we had an alternative close by that we thought we should bring to your attention.
Irma Parker, Town of Addison. I'm really into the cost variable here, and I think that's really important for us to look at the cost. Why is this facility so expensive? Is it got, I mean, what does it have that makes it so expensive? Or is it just something that they know they can command and they can get that amount?
I don't know. And so I think we do have some statistics we can put up on the screen where we can show all of our early voting locations, the cost of those locations, and then the cost per voter. So for instance, I know our Redeemer, very expensive. Cost per voter, not very expensive. There's a lot of people go there. And so do you have that you can share?
Yes, so what you're seeing over here on the left side is very small text. Here, let me see if I can blow it up. We're looking at Friendship West Baptist Church right now. They do charge us 14,000 for early voting. But we see that during early voting in this past November election, it was $1.95 per vote and $9.72 per vote. But to be clear, that is just considering rental costs. That's not talking about like the other cost associated with having a vote center. That is just rent.
But I would say rent's the only thing we care about, because whether it's at that location or the government center, the cost of people, equipment, that's all gonna be the same. Anyway. So the only variable that we can control is the cost of facilities.
So I guess the next thing, is there any location that has, any location around there close to that high dollar place that might work? That we could ask the city secretary from that area to check and see if there's something.
Well, we have the government center, the one that's half mile away.
Yes, but she was just saying that it was very hard for those people that live right by to cross that main highway, but maybe there's something else that somebody could look at as a possibility.
Yeah, if we look up close, go ahead and put on your overhead, your satellite. Bonnie, maybe if you can explain what you were talking about, what's kind of zoom in a little bit more, why it's difficult, so we can understand that better.
Okay, Friendship West is on the left. To get to the government center, you have to go down that street or get on the service road from the first exit to get to it.
So if the bus comes to the Friendship, would it go to the government center?
I don't see that that's difficult, Bonnie, because they can go on that road.
Okay, but you see where all those houses are?
Yeah, it's a bus.
Most of those are parishioners of Friendship West. And I promise you, speaking from experience, there is no way that Commissioner Price is going to allow Friendship West not to be used. Yes, we will probably negotiate, I'm thinking, because we do have another spot that's been closed. But I remember what we went through the first time with the commissioner.
So I think, sorry.
Excuse me, John, yours, CI, District 1. This is, the cost is one factor, as Michael said. Proximity is another factor. Historical precedence is another factor. And until we list these factors and grade each one of them by importance, I just can't keep saying this, but I'm gonna keep saying it until we figure this out. We have a number of factors that are important. Historical precedence, as I said, cost, location, whatever factors we want to decide are important. And cost is one important one. But this is a fight I think we don't need to have. Because it's going to be one, and it doesn't need to be one, because people have been voting here for ever. And if the rent is too high, we probably negotiate down the rent. But this is a fight we don't need to have based on just the cost. It's silly, because we've sat at these meetings and open sites where 10 people voted. We've done that. So 10 people didn't vote here ever. So I don't know why we're still having this discussion. Let's just make sure let's figure out what is important. If there are 10 metrics or 5 metrics, I mentioned 3 I think are important. I can write those down, list them, and we got other stuff to do besides Friendship West tonight, because that's a fight, I promise you. We don't need to have. We really don't. People are gonna vote there, they've been voting there, they wanna vote there, let them vote there.
And we don't even have,
14,000 people
we don't have
voted.
any site information about the other place.
Well, we had people voting 10 people voting in one place, and we kept that open, which I think is ridiculous. This isn't a fight we need to have, that's it.
So we will bring back some more information in 2 weeks, and we can make a final decision on that. And points all well taken. There's a lot of factors to consider here. Okay. What was next?
reviewing the election day locations, because this, yeah, until we, go visit those sites and actually survey these things, this is the early voting model that we have, that will be changing before the next meeting. So I'm gonna move on to election day, which, looks at a buffer of 1.25 miles. So here we have all of the tentatively approved election day locations. And there's sort of, we still have our city layers on. Should I change that to the grid? Yep, I'm gonna keep that as the city, but, this is the model that we're ready. This is the model that, you know, all of those tentative decisions we've made in the past 3 meetings, this is what it looks like on a map.
Were there more decisions that we needed to bring back to the table, or had we get all those settled? I don't think we do.
Is it timely to ask a question about one of the centers? Is it a good time to ask a question about one of the centers on the map? Okay, so
Election day or early?
election day,
Sure.
yeah. So Andrea Barrero, SMU. So I wanted to ask again about William B. Travis. So I thought that at the end of the meeting, 2 meetings ago, so 4 weeks ago, we had decided to keep Travis as a for the high turnout elections. Did I misunderstand that, or was that reconsidered in the, I missed?
B. Travis.
It's this grayed out
William B.
dot
Travis.
right now.
Academy?
Yes, William B. Travis, Vanguard Academy.
Can you repeat the question?
So I thought that 4 weeks ago, we had decided to keep that as a high turnout location. But I see it's not grayed out, it's grayed out now, so I was just asking if that was revisited 2 weeks ago.
Believe so. That may just be a mistake. So it's the Vanguard Academy and the World Language, the William B. Travis Vanguard Academy and the William B. Travis World Language Academy were tentatively approved.
They are.
Okay,
Okay,
so that's a fault in the data.
okay,
So what's our spreadsheet show?
Right now it says tentatively rejected for the Vanguard Academy, but Danielle is flipping that right now to tentatively approved.
How was that checked before you sent stuff to the commission? If she had brought it up, would it have been then?
So we have that right before, so in the same way that we did back in March, we post what we're going to them with, so the summary materials. And then we reviewed it that last meeting. So just going down the list, it's provide summary.
Do you make sure that the notes that you took match what spreadsheet has? Oh, I'm just wondering what if one person didn't notice. That's not concern.
We will review all of the locations that are tentatively accepted again. We'll go one by one.
Okay.
Internally, not in this meeting. I think those are good questions, Elaine, because I see I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 staff members all on computers, and I'm trying to make sure that they are taking comprehensive notes. And I'm encouraging them to make sure that they're taking comprehensive notes.
Okay, I'm sure they are. Okay, thank you.
Hi, this is Mona Lisa in Grand Prairie again. Can we review, I believe you all were looking into a couple of sites on the south side, let's see, near Florence Hill. So in discussions with city staff and our elected officials, a couple of our elected officials, we want to, I believe there's an issue with Florence Hill Elementary. What is the green dot next to Florence Hill? I'm sorry, I can't tell.
This green dot right here is the Woods United Methodist Church.
Okay, great. We wanted to open up Warmack Library, if that is okay with the VCAC. Reason being is that that's where most of our constituents vote. And I know we were looking at trying to open up 2 facilities because Warmack Library parking isn't very good in that area for the high turnout voter. So would the committee consider having the 2, although they're close together, to kind of relieve some of those parking issues that we have at Warmack? If you'll click there, you can see that is a very high turnout for most of our elections, whether it's November or May. And the cost there would be minimal because that is a city facility, so we do not charge for the Warmack Library.
We've used it in the past considerably.
Yeah. Let me just go straight to the source.
Yeah, my apologies. I know you were looking at both Florence Hill and the Woods Church, and I think Florence Hill may not have confirmed, but I can confirm to you after talking with our staff and with elected officials that we do want to keep that Warmack Library along with the Methodist Church.
Okay. So yes, the Betty Warmack Library in November 2020 saw almost 11,000 people during early voting. In this past May, they saw a little over 1,500. So they very high traffic area.
Yes, ma'am. And I think having the 2 would really help to relieve some of that traffic flow.
I apologize. That was unnecessary information for y'all during election day, which is what we're speaking of right now. In May, they had 391, almost 400. And then in last March, they had almost 1,000. So again, still a good site.
So I'm confused. Are you saying you want to have both of those locations or one or the other?
Good, bro.
Yes, sir. We would like to have both to alleviate some of the traffic at that hard corner where the Betty Warmack Library is located. So that was our suggestion. Wanted to bring that before the VCAC.
Is that a motion?
Yes, ma'am. I would move to add the Betty Warmack Library for Election Day. I believe we're only talking about Election Day now for the High Turnout Model. I believe it's already on the low turnout.
I'll second her motion. Janae Jennings, City of Irving.
So we will flip Betty Warmack to. Oh, sorry. That was your first official action? I thought we did.
We're kind of taking these.
Oh, it's not a vote.
Go ahead and take it.
Okay.
Go ahead and take a vote because we've got a suggestion. I'm going to assume people are going to agree with it. It came from the city secretary, but for the record, it's nothing, everything's tentative until we approve the whole thing.
Yeah.
But we've been, sometimes we've been taking these polls, if you, instead of a vote. We're surveying the room, if you will. So I'll just say, been motioned and seconded that we add that location so that we have both of those locations. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Oh, aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries.
Michael, this is Shanae Jennings, City of Irving. Can I confirm that we added La Vita Elementary to the map?
You guys pull that up?
Yes.
Great, that's the only question I had. Thank you.
They're looking it up now.
Is it two word?
It is a word.
Yeah, it's gonna be a new voting location. We don't have anything up there above 114, and that's a very sparse area. I think I saw it.
Do you have an address? It's Avita, Billita.
Yeah, LAB.
And we have to pay for it. That's the problem.
Sorry, the.
Yep. Y'all got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So it's already included in the high turnout.
Yes.
Great.
Great.
Yep, thanks. Oh,
What
they
other-
want it in the low turnout model too, just to let you know, because it's District 5 and there's nothing around there.
Yeah, just so you guys know that the thought is, if it's in the high turnout model, by default, it's in the low turnout model.
Okay, great. And when I talked to Danielle, I did talk to Danielle earlier this week or last week, Michael. I told her that y'all could feel free to use Mustang Rec Center as an additional early voting and vote center election day. That facility is going to undergo some major construction in the next couple of years, but I'm sure we could find y'all a place to vote, and that was at y'all's request, not ours. So I'm just offering it out there. I didn't see it on either model.
I don't think we had Mustang Park.
For early voting, it was like vested. For early voting, it was vested, yeah. Mustang Park Recreation Center, but, so it would be wise to not accept Mustang Park because it will be undergoing construction so soon.
Well, yes, it'll undergo construction in the next couple years. It's definitely available this November. And I'm hopeful we could find y'all a place to hold the election, the presidential election, if y'all chose to keep it on there. But I just needed y'all to know it's going to undergo construction.
Will that be under construction before the presidential?
That I don't know. Our park and rec director is out of town this week, and I need to ask him directly.
So given that we're not sure, what do you guys want to do? You want to do anything? You want to keep it in the model? Do you want to take it out? I'm not recommending anything. Y'all asked that of us. We didn't ask that of y'all. So I do want to keep it in as a election day location in the city's election and the big vote center, but I don't really have anything
you know, I have neither here nor there to me. If y'all want to use that, we'll make it available.
I would suggest, Shanae, if you want to have it for May and you think it's gonna be open for May, you just keep it in the model. And, you know, stuff happens, and if it's not around for November, we'll find a substitute.
Okay, that works.
What other locations do we need to be looking at that we're coming back to them with some questions?
Okay, I'll like to just make a comment in regards to whoever inquired about William B. Travis. There were a few locations in Dallas ISD. We have been in communication with Avery. I've been waiting on a response. Avery is waiting to hear from her bond contact before she can confirm that location being available, along with a few others.
I don't know which location.
There's a couple of.
Sorry, so the William B. Travis Vanguard.
Okay, so you're still waiting for confirmation that it'll be available from Dallas ISD?
Yes, I just wanted to reassure you that we're doing our due diligence. Okay. Moving along, there's a few locations that need to be addressed. The Park South YMCA, I know that we were in discussion about the location. The location is going under construction. We're proposing the X line, and I also serve the X line recreation, and I'm also surveyed St. Paul AME Church.
So
To find a replacement.
What were the results of the survey?
Oh, yes. St. Paul scored a 99%. This one is pretty. And X-Line scored a 95.4.
that's tentatively rejected.
What's the question on the floor? Are we looking at these two green dots and digital?
As a possible replacement for the Park South.
And those two green dots on the screen are the ones that you're talking about. So not both of them, but in either or.
No, so it's this green dot is Park South YMCA. The facility is telling us that they're going to go under construction. So we have surveyed X line, which is this grayed out dot that my mouse is under. And then the other location was called what?
St. Paul AME.
Okay. So, sorry. X line is about where my mouse is. St. Paul is that circle to the left of the green dot, and then the green dot is Park South, which is going to become unavailable due to construction. So the question is, if X line is unavailable, or excuse me, if Park South becomes unavailable, which do y'all want us to pursue first? The St. Paul AME Church or the X Line Recreation Center?
Recreation Center. Because it's cheaper. It's a city facility, correct?
Are there any other comments?
The St. Paul scored more than the recreation center.
It scored better, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
scored better. But it's a little bit further though, so if we're considering replacing something close to the previous location, I would still go with the recreation center.
Okay. Okay.
What was wrong with the recreation? I didn't score.
Yeah.
Okay. So we will pursue X line first if Park South becomes unavailable.
Okay, the next location is Ministerial Cielo. Cielo. Okay, this location, I remember this location being discussed a few months ago. They're not in compliance. They are tentatively approved. We are proposing that that location is replaced by Rocky Springs Church. Rocky Springs, one moment. Yes.
Can we ask the city secretary what their input is for that? For inquiry?
Yes, I'm here. We pondered this one last time. I have been out there several times and it is not ADA compliant. The current vote center, I believe it's what was determined. So we were trying to find a location that was still in the area, that would allow those, I believe there are several who are mobile homeowners there. And I think that is the most viable location that we could find that's not too far from where they're used to voting there at that church. I'm okay with it.
The distance between the two locations is 0.3 miles in terms of driving.
There's a question back here.
If it's not ADA compliant, this is Carol Farquhar with League of Women Voters. If it's not ADA compliant, does that open the county to lawsuit?
I think that's what they're dumping, the one that's not ADA compliant. They
Yeah.
found one that is ADA compliant.
But the not ADA compliant one was already accepted by y'all, so we're asking you to revisit your decision.
Do we need a motion?
I think we should.
I'm
Replace.
seeing shaking heads. I think we'll do that. So
Yeah.
that's our.
Yeah.
then
Replace.
we're-
Yeah,
We're
that-
voting like this.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, Mona Lisa.
Thank you.
You bet. Very welcome.
The next location is St. Paul United Methodist Church. It was a discussion about Booker T. Washington potentially being replaced due to parking. That location was recently surveyed.
St. Paul?
Yes, with a survey score of 94.1.
Okay. The yellow dot is the St. Paul United Methodist Church and the green dot is the Booker T. Washington High School that we were off.
Yeah, they're literally across the street from each other.
So Booker T is currently tentatively approved, but we did find this Methodist church. Would y'all like to revisit your decision?
Yes.
Do we have an estimate of cost of the church at this point?
No, we didn't.
Do we have an estimate of cost of the church? It's David Page, Richardson ISD.
No, we do not.
I think that's one of the challenges the team met with, as they're talking to people. They say, well, yeah, I might be interested in serving as a location. What does it pay? And so we don't really have a good answer for that because what we typically find is it's either free or it's on average $500 to $1,000 or whatever. But then we have these outliers, these super expensive places. So, we don't really want to tell them the range because then they'll say, well, I'll charge the highest amount. So it's a little a negotiation, I guess. And of course, we understand that these locations need to, they rent these places out and they've got custodial staff and all that. We understand all that. We're not trying to just, be misers, but at the same time, we want to be reasonable. So I think if we hear from you guys, let's go for it. We'll negotiate with them. If it's within the range that where everyone else is at, we're good. But if it's some crazy number, then we might come back to you and say, they're gouging us.
Yes, I agree with that. Yeah.
And then
Give you all that leeway.
How long have we been Booker T? How long have we been using Booker T?
Quite a while.
And many-
91.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many, elections. I know it's been a lot of elections, but I don't know the number.
What again was the issue with Booker T? I'm sorry,
Are there any?
I've now forgotten those in the rest of the conversation. I apologize.
Parking was the concern.
Parking.
Oh, okay.
Is it a concern or is it a problem? Is it really, is it something somebody saying is a problem?
There's no parking.
It's scored 91, so.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's a 91. What is St. Paul's? St. Paul's 95. But we've been holding elections at Booker T for a really long time. To me, it doesn't make sense to move it across the street to St. Paul.
Yeah, were you looking for a problem?
Is it
We don't
really
have one.
possible to park at St. Paul and walk to across the street to Booker T?
There is, you cannot park in St. Paul's parking lot
Okay, unless you're going to.
unless you're going to St. Paul. And the parking lot behind it is a paid parking lot.
Well, if they have a concern, there must be a reason. I mean, I
think
wouldn't
Booker
think
T
that y'all
has-
would just come up with this
I
just
think,
because.
I think when we brought our score to you guys, it scored low, and then you said, why is it low? Well, it's low because of parking. Have we had specific complaints from the public? Do we know?
Not that I'm aware of.
I agree, there's no problem.
No problem, it's not making a
Yeah,
problem.
I'd actually like to make, if I could, just one comment about this whole area in general. This whole neighborhood down here, uptown, across from 75 where Booker T is very densely populated. So if you look at the number of voters, it's 17,000 registered voters within, let me see if I'm looking at the right dot. 14,000 within 0.75 miles of Booker T. So a lot of voters within 0.75, those are likely to be walkers. So I would be concerned about rejecting locations in this very densely populated neighborhood in general, because it's going to be very hard to find locations with parking. Although I guess you found one, St. Paul's, so.
But they're not wanting to make it a second location, though. They're wanting to close down one.
Yes, that's right.
Well, and the average distance traveled for the November election was 2.8 miles. So that's probably people working in the area, commuting there. Parking may not be an issue. I mean, if it's really a problem, I would support looking at moving it. But if parking is really not a problem and most of your voters are walking there during their lunch break or something like that over from they've already parked because they're there for work, then I agree. Why mess with it?
And they've been making.
I totally agree with you, except that somebody brought up that there was an issue. So I think we should look at whatever their concern was. And there might not be a concern that we see, but they brought it up, and I think the least we should do is consider their complaint or their issue.
I think it was.
So, yeah, I went back through the notes, and it was Millie Dominich was the one who had brought this up for our attention, and then a couple of meetings ago. And it was regarding the parking. She spoken up as a parent, I guess, at the school. And I'm not familiar in that area as far as the school is concerned, but she said parking is difficult for parents alone at the school and also for voters, and that she, has heard complaints about that process, which is why we're discussing it. It doesn't mean that needs to be the decision, but I know that's how it became a question and discussion.
And I guess, again, David Payne, are the election staff working that location, hearing complaints from the voters that they are having trouble with parking? Do we know? I mean, I know it's too late in the process, but if y'all had notes on that particular issue.
How long has it been since you drove into a elementary or any school with people coming and going? Sometimes it's a real pain. So that's always a concern for me. But like I said, the fact that someone did say there was an issue, I think we need to look into it.
Yeah, and I will bring something else up because, and I'm surprised we didn't bring it up before when we were talking about early voting. So we recognize, to Andrea's point, is that that's a high density area. If you turn on your zoom out, turn on your density map. we've been looking for locations. Right now, we've got a couple of locations that we're hoping that we might get some, you know, and maybe someone here can help us. We wanted to talk to the Pearl Museum. And we wanted to talk to, the whole paycheck, or Whole Foods.
Whole paycheck, you said it right.
Two potential locations in that walkable area. And so we're kind of talking to some county officials who might know, you know, be connected with Pro. But we think that we need more in this area.
Yeah.
And so what would happen is and that's for early voting, actually. And so if we find an early voting location, then there'll be an election day location also. So that's
Check it out. Go for it.
So I'm hearing you guys say leave Booker alone or not. I don't know.
Yeah.
Do we want to vote on this?
Yeah, let's leave it alone.
Everybody else, everyone okay with
I'm
this?
saying, check if there's other options, because it's a high vote set area, then I say look for another area as well, because we may need it down the road. I mean, there may be a necessity for that.
Well, I think what our team's saying is we found one across the street.
Yeah, cool.
So we're looking for guidance from you guys. We got an existing location that's someone brought up the questionable parking. We've got a new location that we found as an alternative. We don't know what the cost will be, but it scores a little bit better. It's got some parking.
And St. Paul's parking lot is very small.
Question in back.
I don't know about the parking at St. Paul's, but I like your suggestion before, find out what the cost is. And if it's reasonable, then let the city decide, you know, I will be paying that. So let them have that choice to make the decision whether to switch or replace Booker T with St. Paul or not.
This is city of Dallas. I don't know that we've got Billy on the line.
She was at one point.
There's a few comments I would like to add for the St. Paul. They do have additional free parking. From my understanding, if they make a request to the facilities for the parking, then they would have parking available. They also mentioned that Booker T allows them to have shared parking in their overflow whenever they have services or events.
But they don't let Booker T share it?
That was my question, Elaine.
You know.
We do the opposite. They're also open to early voting. Right?
Right. So we could go back to Booker T and ask them about the overflow of parking. That's what I was just telling Marley to right now.
Yeah.
If we could get some extra parking, so we wouldn't have to change. But St. Paul is all on board. We just don't know the cost.
Yeah, I'd still
they
check
have
with them.
overflow.
Yeah, I'd
Right.
still check with them because these are facilities we may not need this year, but we may need in a couple of years. And so it's always good to find out what the cost would be and have that in our back
The
pocket.
curbside is good.
Yes.
The interest is good.
Yeah.
Everything is just right off the stair.
So I'm interested in the comment that they're interested or that they'd be willing to do early voting. So I just want to see what that would look. Oh, yeah, but Booker T. Washington.
Is there a big highway or roadway between the two?
No, they're literally across the street from each other.
So if we were to have the St. Paul United Methodist Church during early voting, it would cover this area right here, just as a reference for y'all. What do you think about having an early voting location there? Of course, it would have to be an election day, which impacts Booker T. Washington, but I'm just throwing it out there.
I just want to ask, if we look at DART headquarters on Pacific?
Yes, we did. I reached out to the facility. I did not get a response. I also reached out to Billy to get her input or some feedback. Now we're going to address a hole that we were trying to fill.
I'm sorry, Danielle. Yes, ma'am. Elaine Campbell said, did we make a decision regarding what we're gonna do?
Thank you, Elaine. I was about to say.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that if you did. For Booker T. Washington.
I thought y'all said keep Booker T.
Yes.
Washington.
And we will follow up with the cost for the church.
That's the.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Is
Thank
Booker
you,
T interested in being an early vote site?
Dallas ISD does not want any of their locations.
Well, that, I mean, we do need an early vote location in that vicinity. So maybe St. Paul would be a better thing for us if we could have it for election, for early voting and election day.
Or remember, early voting can be anywhere. So that may not be a problem.
Well, not today.
So until it's a problem, it's not a problem. You can vote anywhere during early voting, right?
Yes.
You can vote anywhere on election day.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, but you were talking about, this is where people are used to voting, and so we were trying to keep something in that same location that people come to vote, whether it be early voting or election day, for the convenience, because it gets confusing if we don't. So my suggestion was we leave Booker T the way it is, but find out about the other and St. Paul, and give staff that ability to research it and figure out which the best for us all.
Okay, yeah, that's what I think we all agree on. Is that right?
Yeah. You're good. You're good. You got an A+, okay.
Don't tell him that.
Oh, no, he's gonna get a big hit. Okay, I won't say that again. Okay.
So we're back on a location that we were going to survey to fill a hole.
Okay, that location would be Robinwood Baptist Church.
I'm sorry, before you move on.
No.
I got a question, because in looking at the map, can we zoom in? I mentioned Perot. And is that something that you think is a good idea, or is that, I mean, do we, looking at that area, looking at the density, et cetera, would you want that or Whole Foods, or do you have any other suggestions?
I say both of them. I really like the idea of looking toward the future and already getting some of these things already done, and we know whether, my voice carries, I didn't think I needed it. But I like the idea of y'all going and checking out these other areas, and just in case for the future, you never know if a building is gonna flood or whatever, and that you already have something that you can get, that you've already checked out, and you have all the information. I think that's good to have extra spots.
I think the question though, Irma, and I don't.
Like a backup plan?
Well, in addition.
Is it like
I
a
guess,
backup plan that we should have?
I mean, we're always looking for those backup plans and surveying as many locations as possible. My question is, do you feel as though we need another, because of the high density, if you can turn on the high density layer, do we need another early voting location in this area?
Early voting or look for election day?
Early voting, and if it, by default, if
Early
something's early voting, it's election day also. Question.
Yes, I think it would be a good idea if Perot would do it, because it's on the other end of downtown, and you've got all the people that may not live there, but work there and go vote or after work or during lunch. And I think as an early voting site, it would be very attractive.
Is that easy to get to? I'm not sure.
Pro's really easy to get to. It's got parking and everything. I mean, it's an
Right.
ideal location. And I can tell you this has been my hobby the last few weeks, is I'm doing my walk, because I live down there. And I'm looking for locations, and there's just no parking anywhere. So
No, there's no parking.
you just find those few locations that have parking.
They have a
free
lot of parking. Yeah, that's true.
And so that was one of them. But it is, it's fairly close to the other two downtown locations. So it's not ideal location, but it is as good as it gets. I mean, we really need something up McKinney more than that, but
Like Whole Foods.
yeah.
I have a question. I mean, I wanted to say something. Back to your question. in general, and I know that you do this already. And in the back of my mind, I am thinking, because we're saying, okay, we need the team to go survey that, go survey that. You don't have 50,000 people on your team surveying people, so, and we have a limited time period. So, I mean, I do think we have to set priorities and what we're gonna survey as far as between what we need now and what we may need in the future. You know what I'm saying? I'm just thinking about that, because, yeah.
Good staff.
Yeah.
Good money.
Yeah.
So did I hear a thumbs up for
Yeah.
Pro?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we'll pursue that and come
We
back.
we can check it out. Yeah,
Okay, thank you. Now,
thank you.
Okay, moving forward, we were discussing filling a hole. Region 5.
Okay.
Robinwood Baptist Church. This location has not been surveyed, however, they just confirmed that they are on board today.
Early voting or
For
election?
presidential. I'm only discussing election day.
Do you all feel that that is a vote center that should be placed? If their survey comes back and their cost is good and
Yeah.
There's a hole.
We don't know the cost.
It is covering a gap.
Yeah.
You need the survey scores.
The cost.
what
Okay,
area is
just want to
it?
make sure before I start
think
going to
we have
survey.
a thought so.
Make sure that
Oh,
we're
it's-
looking for it.
Oh, I see a yellow dot where, Mount Zion Missionary Baptist Church in Sand Branch. Was that surveyed?
Mhm.
That location was surveyed and we found that that location is not an ADA compliant. That location does not have any, that location does not have any, handicap parking. It's gravel and rocks. There is a step. I kept tripping going in and out of the location, but they have like a ramp and steps attached to it, like surrounding the ramp.
Did you see anything else out there that might even come close? Because they have nothing. They cannot get to Seagoville because they do not drive. These people don't even have running water. And that's the God's
Yeah.
truth. I know,
So
because we're
Bonnie,
delivering it.
I want to have that discussion, but can we settle
Yeah.
the previous one first?
Yeah, it's got, something's got to happen.
So did we, the one you were talking about, where we at on
They're
it?
interested there. From my understanding, we're interested in surveying Robinwood. They agreed today and we're moving forward.
That's fine.
Okay.
Okay.
So now moving back to Bonnie, that one. So
I'm sorry, what was the name of it? Was that Mount?
Mount Zion Missionary Baptist Church in Sand Branch.
Uh-huh.
anything else down there, Bonnie?
Another church. It's basically the same. It's on Beltline.
Yeah, there's nothing down in there.
So, I mean, I don't know what we can do, but surely we can come up, I mean, if we need to, if I need to get our community groups together to help make the, Ron Bivens Church ADA compliant so that those people have someplace to vote, that's what we'll do. I mean, we are now carrying water out there to those people. Southern Sector Rising is delivering water to those people and 220 gallon tanks so that they will have some semblance of running water.
What area is this?
And how
I know
many
it's
voters do we have in that area?
Bonnie, when you turn out the heat address, heat.
They don't have transportation.
Yeah, there's no
Are
transportation.
they registered, like, are they voters there? Because. it's
Yeah,
not secret.
there are 4 groups that are working in that area, registering voters and helping people to find out their property. Because that's a freedman's town.
Yes.
I do have the,
You have the dots.
I have the heat layer and the dots.
You're not going to see anything because the county doesn't even recognize it.
Okay, I would like to make a comment that Commissioner 3 has decided that there will not be a location.
Oh, he did. Okay. Yep. Why don't we talk?
Why?
We'll talk to the
What was the reason?
From the office,
That's okay.
from the office.
We'll talk to the residents in Sand Branch and see what they want.
Well, that makes me sad.
Makes me really sad. Makes me angry. Hey,
So, can you turn the dots off and turn the heat layer, zoom out a little bit? I just want to get a better sense of, and maybe turn your concentric circles off, trying to get a sense if there's any sort of density there.
Isn't there an event center out there though now?
Sorry,
It's
sorry,
in
sorry.
Okay,
it's 2.5 miles from Sand Branch to Cedarville.
okay.
Don't worry.
So this would typically not qualify for density care reasons.
I understand.
But to Bonnie's point, she's saying this is a unique community with a lacks transportation and thus would, and for distance wise, she's suggesting we put something there. I think the issue, and I don't disagree with you. I think the question is whether or not there's any sort of liability of opening a location that is not ADA compliant. And, you know, so I don't know that answer to that question. I know that we have had activist groups that were very concerned about our ADA compliance at a lot of locations. And, you know, I think I told this story for those who may not have been here about, you know, last November, they were looking to sue us. And we said, hey, listen, we're going to take care of this. We're going to deal with this issue with this group. Can you hold off? We're going to fix it. So this would be taking a step back.
I get it. I totally understand. But again, I'm taking a step forward because I see these people every week. So that's it.
And there's nothing else down there that you can think of. And when you went down, did you see anything?
There's a church on Beltline.
There used to be a Raleigh Crest, activity center or something down in there. Is it not there anymore?
That's way far away.
No, but the ADA compliance, the only issue? That was the only problem?
Bonnie, if there's groups, I would be willing to help.
Oh, so that's what I'm saying too.
Yeah, Southern Sector Rising is working.
If that's the only.
Okay, if that's the, you know, I think
if
there's a
that's
lot of
it,
people, yeah, I think there's a lot of people that would be willing to work.
I think so too.
Okay.
Did we score this one?
I would like to be on that too. It's Debbie from Rowlett.
84.5.
Pardon me?
84.5.
So, and was that low score with ADA or were there other problems?
Mainly ADA.
Okay. Bonnie, get a team together. I'll help.
You got it.
Okay.
You got my team, girl.
Okay. Well, there was somebody else on the
Yes.
that said they would
Yes.
help. And I'm sure Shanae would help, right,
It
Shanae?
was me.
Okay.
All
see?
right, today.
Yeah.
Okay. And the fire department can help
And Debbie
too.
from Rowlett.
Okay.
First of all, are there gonna be firemen there? Because then I can help.
Don't say that to Shanae, because she'll really make you work.
Our name right now?
I have no idea what y'all are saying about me, but I'm not sure if it's good or not.
You know, one of those old maps that said beyond here be dragons and monsters, we're past that.
I know, right?
Am I hearing that, do we need to take a vote? Are you guys recommending that despite the ADA compliance issues, that you want this to be a polling place?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we'll try to do what we can to make it work.
I want to hear a motion on this.
Okay.
Wait, but are
I'll
we
make
out of
the
our
motion.
lane?
Pardon me?
Are we out of our lane? No. Well, if the commissioner down there said he doesn't want it,
We can still make a recommendation.
Make a recommendation.
right, I just want to be careful because they're right.
I'm tired of being careful
You're
with you.
right.
Okay?
But let's put it this way.
What's the issue?
Your role is to make a recommendation, you represent the community.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're making a recommendation. Commissioners Court can do whatever they want. They can say, thank you for your opinion, we're gonna overrule you.
Correct, absolutely.
I mean, they're ultimately,
But if you don't
they're the boss.
suggest anything, it won't get done.
Correct.
Ms. Baiba?
This is Ms. Eva. So can we maybe visit it next time when we hear their plans of how they gonna, be able to help to make it ADA acceptable?
Bonnie said she was gonna work on it, so I don't think that we're gonna have a problem.
I'm done.
I just want us to still be.
Y'all plan, hear the plans.
I don't know what it is yet, but we got one.
Do I hear a motion on this location?
Yeah, Bonnie made the motion.
I
Do I
made
hear
a
a
motion.
second?
A second.
So
And
the
I'll
mo-
second it.
the motion and seconded that we add Mount Zion
Missionary Baptist Church of Sandbridge.
To the list of recommended locations. Do we have any discussion? Seeing no discussion, we'll go ahead and vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed? Same sign? Motion passes. We will add that to the list
Thank you.
with the caveat that there's a community commitment to try to get this ADA compliance up.
Yes.
Thank you, Bonnie.
Yes, ma'am.
Wonderful.
Thanks.
The next location is Freedom Place Church, which was a recommended, location. I just visited this church today. It's directly across the street from Ralph Annex.
So what's the issue? Give me a better framework of what are we talking about?
This location was suggested, so surveyed, have the score in just a moment,
It was suggested to replace something. I'm gonna see another one nearby.
which is the Rowlett Annex. And from my understanding, the Rowlett Annex is fairly smaller, regarding in the hallway. Freedom Place has a big open space. They have a room.
So Rowlett's told us no for election day because we vote in their hallway.
You gotta draw.
I couldn't understand. Which school is this now?
Petra, if you could talk.
This is a church, Freedom Place Church in Rowlett.
Uh-huh. Right.
So Freedom Place Church.
And what was it?
I don't think I can hear you, Petra.
Go ahead, please, sorry.
Please go ahead online.
So Freedom Place Church, is there an issue?
Yeah, I think person online, we're gonna let the team frame what the issue is here a little bit better. So why don't you go ahead? Because I don't understand what the issue is.
Okay, from my understanding, Rowlett Annex. Okay, Rowlett Annex is a very small condensed voting area. They allow us to vote in the hallways. It is not available for election day. It's available for early voting. I know that.
But we'd like to have an early voting location also be an election day location. This would be, they're accepting of early voting and election day. So this would be like a whole replacement instead of Rowlett City Hall Annex only being early voting.
Okay,
I'm seeing.
so they're eligible to be early voting and regular voting.
Correct. Yes.
So I'm seeing 3 dots
Okay.
on the screen and I'm not sure which dot's which.
So this yellow dot is the church that is available for early voting and election day. This green dot is a school
Yes,
that
it's Coyle
is-
Middle School.
that is only available for election day. And if I
Right.
zoom out on the map, we see that, let me turn on, early voting. Yeah. So in early voting, the Rowlett City Hall Annex is the only location we have out there. So
So
I thought we weren't gonna do it there anymore.
right.
this is Melissa. I want to provide a little context, I think, around what the team's trying to say. So in our prior model, Rowlett City Hall, we used for early voting, and then we transitioned to Quill Middle School for election day. We didn't have a singular space where we could do both early voting and election day. And our model is that we don't want to switch locations for early voting to election day. So I believe what they're proposing is that Freedom Church, which is in the same vicinity, is a location that has said they will allow us to use both early voting and election day. And so we want to take both of those other locations away and transition to this location as a single source location for both early voting and election day.
Okay. Yes, that's correct. And actually, the Freedom Church is right across the street from City Hall. So it's not like it's an unknown place. I mean, it's right there. It's to the middle school.
What are you gonna do?
So, yeah, you said you surveyed it or you?
Yes, I did survey. I have not discussed cost. I can follow up. That's the only information that I don't have for that location.
So the question,
Sorry.
the question on the table is, do y'all want to consolidate two vote centers, one that is only early voting and one that is only election day, into one vote center that is both early voting and election day, and it's reasonably close to the two that we have?
Yes.
Foil and.
Yes.
Yeah, so that would be
It's reasonable.
Yes.
if the cost is reasonable.
And is the city of Roulette okay with?
Yes.
Yes, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
I believe that's the city secondary.
Is the city of Rowlett what?
Okay with that.
Say if you were okay with that.
Updating the location.
This, yes, that would be a great place. Is that what you asked?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Right.
Can you hear me? It's Debbie Bobbitt. Okay.
Thank you so much.
I do recommend that. Yes.
We will move forward with that.
And it, all right, thank you.
And what's next?
I have one last location, the Atrium Granville Arts Center. This was suggested by the city secretary.
Awesome. We used it.
I love that place.
We used it in 2020 for a super center. Yeah. 2024. No, 2020. You I said 2024. I meant 2020, sorry.
We didn't say that though, but we know.
I want whatever she's drinking.
What?
She fired up.
So, yeah.
Let that go.
So we have the Garland Center a little northwest of the atrium, which is also an election day location. It's an early voting and election day location. So y'all are good with tentatively approving the atrium Granville Art Center for election day?
Both or
Yes.
just, are
So we
they,
would have both for election day.
okay, so Granville's just an election day location. That's where I get confused. Thank you. Fine with me.
Yes. Because the college is right across the street and it is a swamped place on election day. And they could really use some support on having another place near to vote.
The bus station is right there. Train.
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 The art station's right there.
The train.
I'm hearing. that
Yeah,
my
there's
team
a
doesn't-
train and bus.
Yes.
I'm hearing my team doesn't have any more to discuss, but I'm gonna question that. So can you zoom out? And turn on your heat layer? Yeah. Because didn't we have some locations down south where we were shopping for locations? We had some, there was completely blank. Down right above. It was.
South in Garland is the South Garland Library.
Look at the Glen Heights area.
That's a very busy place.
Yes, it is.
Or was it Vile Elementary?
So we had some locations here, we had some holes that we were trying to fill. Did we not?
Okay.
They're on your other heat layer,
My,
address heat layer.
okay.
Yeah, we said those were new community. Yeah. I remember that.
Okay, that's the address layer.
So there's at least at bottom right area there, and then up above it to the left. I thought there was 2 holes there that we're trying to fill.
What?
And then over to the right, there's that other one. Those are the ones that I remember.
Y'all will be hungry.
It looks like we tentatively rejected something. Oh, the Amber Terrace. But that was, I think that was due to construction. Am I correct in that?
Amber Terrace. We used that a couple times, right?
What about this area to the right, that there's a big brown spot there with nothing?
I'm at home on the computer, so I don't see what you guys are looking at.
What is that town? What is that city? That does not help us.
DeSoto?
No, it's like under Lancaster. I don't know what it is.
That's one.
No. This isn't named on my map. I don't know.
Get that incorporated.
It's unincorporated.
Is anybody familiar with this area?
What?
And there's, sorry, it's.
Tell me the street names.
That's not Duncanville.
It's a little southwest of the Lancaster Airport. It's off of 342. There's a cross street called Bear Creek Road.
Oh, yeah, that's way out there, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks like a community to the east of the Bear Creek Nature Park.
Right, and there's a big, huge church up on top of that hill. It's kind of isolated area for some people, but they like it.
Do I have any census data? Let me see.
It's not considered Lancaster, you said?
It's not showing as Lancaster on my map. I don't even know how to click in there. I want to see some data, but unfortunately, I have no data on that area.
Do you know what's the name of the church? She said there's a church there. Maybe.
I think it's called Bear Creek Bear Creek Community Church, I think is what it's called.
Yeah, that's correct.
It's a really big church. It's got a great population to that church. Big, huge outreach church.
What was the question? I'm sorry. That's in Irving.
That's Bear Creek is
not. Is it Crescent?
Bear Creek Community.
It's on Finley Road.
Yeah, that's in
Yeah,
Irving.
it's a huge.
What was the question?
Yeah.
The area we're talking about. I think that's a different area.
Well, yeah, Bear Creek is in
That's a
Irving.
different
This
area.
is a different Bear Creek.
Yeah,
Okay, it's not Bear
it's like
Creek,
their own
the
community.
church thing.
There, BEX, yeah, maybe that's.
What are y'all talking about?
So Shanae, what we're talking about is there's an area, can you see your screen?
Yeah.
So see that area south of Lancaster, that big brown spot right there? We got a cluster of people that have no polling place nearby. And so the question was,
Right.
is anybody familiar with that? Has anybody got any ideas about what we could do to help those folks out?
I bet if you would call that church, they have a huge outreach and they could tell you what the need is. No problem.
But we don't know the name of the church. That church is not. That's what
Yeah,
we're looking at.
Bear Creek Community Church.
That's in Irving.
That's in Irving.
That's not in y'all
Yes.
are looking at Irving.
No, we're not looking in Irving.
Yeah, y'all aren't looking at Irving, so that's not our church. That's not the church y'all are thinking.
There's a Bear Creek Bible Church over in Keller the other way, but that's too far. That's in Tarrant County.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's something, I see there's something called Bear Creek Nature Center.
Yeah,
Nature-
that's on the other side of 342. That's the closest landmark I could find.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think,
Label is Lancaster.
I thought we had assigned this to our team, but apparently we didn't find anything, but we've continued to look in that area to see, because that still feels like a hole.
That's a big one. That's a lot of houses.
And Mike, I'm gonna say out loud so that they can
Yeah.
get this through. It's an HOA called Bear Creek Ranch Community Association. That's where all those housings are. And there is a community center in it, so
Uh-huh.
they might want to reach out to the HOA and ask if that's an option.
Okay, cool. Alrighty. Well, there you go. Alrighty.
Zoom out a bit.
That was easy.
Let's see if there's any of these other holes we haven't filled. So Wilmer, were we still looking in Wilmer, or are we good with that one location?
Sorry, Wilmer. Are you all satisfied with one location? I'm gonna turn on my buffer. There you go. That's it, with a 1.25 mile buffer. Does Wilmer need a second location?
Well, and moreover, does Wilmer have a second potential location that we?
I know
keep
it's
in mind-
a small town, but I think that was the only place they had available last time I heard.
Good with this one, guys, or do we need to do more?
I think if you guys can go maybe look around and see what you can find down there, I don't know. If there's anything.
Has anybody reached out to Myra, the city secretary?
Yes, I did. They confirmed that location. They didn't have any other recommendation.
Because it is a small town.
It might be perfectly fine.
Yeah.
That's why your input is so important, because we're just looking at a map.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Zoom to the left. So, yeah, I think those were the ones that jumped out at me. There was this area right where your pointer's at. Duncanville. Are we good with that, or did we shop there?
I know. Right?
Feels like a potential hole there between those two.
Better late than never.
Brandenburg meeting. It doesn't look like we had any other proposed locations in that area that, or proposed locations or locations that we identified as possibilities. We do have this Brandenburg International, but I think that was, I think that's not included on the HTM because they're under construction.
We're good, or no?
Are y'all comfortable with leaving this small swath alone? Where y'all see where there's no overlap? Are y'all okay moving on in this area?
Yeah, it doesn't look like there's a lot of density. It's kind of more mixed with. And when you said Myra.
Yeah. They're still talking about Wilmer.
Ah,
I think
that makes sense.
Is that Wilmer? Is that?
This is north of DeSoto, south of Duncanville.
That is in Duncanville.
Oh, it is in Duncanville.
Yeah, there's a park there, and I think, if I remember our conversation previously, it's mainly housing, and y'all just couldn't find another location in that area.
That's right.
Then we got this little guy, and I remember this was also a residential. We had nothing over here. I'm not going to turn on the map. Ethan.
Were there any other holes that you guys see you would like to talk about?
If you go up in Duncanville.
You're saying turn on the rejected? These two? Oh, this south. Got it. Yeah. So the two rejected locations were the Alexander Elementary School and the Brandenburg Intermediate School. Go north?
Yes.
Or
Oh, so it might not be. Right over Duncanville. Yeah, this location.
the UME Preparatory Academy, that was one that was recommended, but I think we weren't able to nab them.
There's another one over is Potter's house.
Potter's house is not friendly to us.
He has no desire to help us.
Yes.
What did you? He's too busy building houses in Atlanta.
So those were all.
But is there a gap here that we think?
Did the team find any other candidates in that Lead Better Hills area? Does anyone have any suggestions?
Yeah, there were no facilities identified by voting sites that were available.
Thank you so much, David. Call me. You can
Call her. She gets you on the phone. You tell you what. It's a phone.
Well, I
I'm on the
think,
radio every
I think,
Saturday. Can you tell me?
Bring it away.
we've got a little bit of homework left to do. Got a couple more decisions we'll come back to you guys with, or, information so that you can come up with a decision. But the idea next time, 2 weeks from now, would be, we put this thing to bed. We do a final vote. We've got to have a quorum. We got to get as many people here as possible.
Oh, we're talking about
Get us-
that in person, right?
Yes. And to try to make sure that we get a vote completed and a recommendation to Commissioners Court. Because we're going to go in front of Commissioners Court with this recommendation on the 15th of August.
Of August.
Yeah, because then,
Do you want us to go in person to Commissioner's Court?
that's certainly up to you guys. I mean, if, even after we make the vote, if someone wants to become a spokesman for this group, I'm open to that too. I think, community involvement is always great, where you guys can talk about the process and your confidence in the process, et cetera. So yeah, that's absolutely open to that idea.
Thank you.
Michael, we are allowed to send a representative, like I'll be out of town, so my deputy is gonna sit in for me. That's okay for her to vote, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, that's be great.
Do we not have to have 36 people in this room to vote on it?
I think we should try to get as many people here as possible. I don't think there are any hard and fast rules about what the membership of this group is and what would be, make a quorum. I think no matter what it is, we vote, we recommend, we send that to the Commissioners Court.
No.
That's not.
You have to be present in person.
Vote.
Is that correct?
No.
No?
We'll still take votes over.
Okay.
We would like to have a quorum. So that we can, be as bulletproof as possible and we have much, Question I get.
Include non-voting members or only voting members?
Voting members.
Y'all have done a great job and given us a lot of information.
Well, thank you. Your participation and dedication to this process has been fantastic.
You've done a really good job, answered all the questions we have. We've had a lot. Bonnie's had a lot.
I learned so much.
Bonnie is a lot of personality.
I think Andrea's got
I
it.
just wanted to ask if we could get the list of vote centers and the recommendations before, like a few days beforehand, just that everyone can review and
Yeah, that would be.
check accuracy, check understanding, and make sure that we're all on the same page. So that we can
I will
Peter.
clean up, the statuses that we've decided on today and, we're gonna review all of the statuses as they exist and we'll post it online either tomorrow or the day after, but we'll get it to you within 48 hours.
And two.
Thank you.
And it will, and, oh, I just saw my boss's look, so we will be, I'll, if you notice here, let's go to the thing.
Well, look at her and you
Can I
wouldn't see the
break?
look.
I'm not trying to get off topic, but this is Cindy with Box Springs. I signed up on the link that you were sending out. For some reason, it's not showing.
On your
It says no
calendar?
reply.
Okay,
So
okay, I'll
you might
figure that out.
check that.
Because I think a few other individuals have had trouble.
Thank you.
with This one, no problem.
So here where it says last updated, I'll make sure y'all know every time that there's an update, I'll, you know, I'll make a new link saying this is more recent. Because we are still going to be getting surveys done and things. Yeah.
Okay, so I
Okay.
will be sending out that list once you guys clean it up.
Yes.
And do you have, is there any other additional requests in terms of what we could provide you to help you prepare for next meeting? If you think of anything, just email me. And to clarify, a lot of you all did respond to the August 10th meeting. I know that a lot of people will be attending online, but again, if you are able to attend in person, please try. I know we have to lock up, but just for that one.
But it's so far to get over there.
Yeah.
So just to repeat the timeline, so that Thursday we will vote, we will have our list prepared, and then Friday, that goes on the agenda for the following Tuesday to Commissioners Court. Once they vote that down, or they may push it, or, you know, just approve that, or they push it for 2 weeks and discuss it more, et cetera. The following meeting, September 5th, is then when we're working with parties and they are going to nominate their judges for these locations. So that's why it has to happen in succession. We're gonna really push to get that done for the high turnout model. Now, having said that, for the November election, we've got the low turnout model down, and that's gonna be a low turnout model election. So we'll be okay there in case something slips, but we'd really like to stick to this schedule if possible.
Okay.
Anything, any other questions, comments, thoughts?
So I'm sorry,
Thank you so much.
I'm trying to think about your timeline. So you're saying that when, based on the timeline, we don't know, you know, things change, but based on that timeline, when is the day that they will nominate?
September 5th.
And
You're already on
There's-
the list.
That's 3 weeks from the August 15th meeting, but that's because Commissioners Court only meets twice in a month. So
Right.
they'll meet the 1st, the 15th, and then not 2 weeks later, but 3 weeks later on the September 5th. Okay. Thanks, everyone. See you in 2 weeks.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye. Good to see you again. Twice in 1 week.
Likewise.